Hey everyone, this is Larry with Today I Feel Like. Sigma sent me out a couple of lenses, and one of them is this 10-18 f2.8 constant. This is for an APS-C camera, and this is going to be a lot of fun to vlog with. Now on the other end, they sent me out their 70-200 2.8 constant. This is a sports lens, and I am really looking forward to using this. It's gonna be a lot of fun too, but I need to find some place to actually shoot them. So let's go ahead and take these out of the box and then go figure out where we can shoot. All right, here is the box for the 70-200 and the 10-18. Let's go ahead and get this big one out of the box first. And these are loaner units, so you know they're not going to be brand spanking new, but these are going to be very similar to what you would get if you were to go ahead and buy one. So, anyways, here is the case. As we can see, it comes very well padded, and look at that. That is a nice looking lens. And you know, I have to say, this thing is much smaller and lighter than I anticipated. I really thought it was going to be a bigger lens, and I love the fact that it's this light and this small and compact. So you may see there's an S on there. That's a sport insignia there. There's a number of switches and dials. So we have the focus switch here for autofocus and manual. Then we also have the distance limiter switch on there. We have our optical image stabilization switch, and then we have our custom switch on there as well. And then down here, if you can see that, that is a click and declick switch, because you can actually change the aperture from your lens, and you may hear that. That is a clicked lens, but you can switch it over just like that. And now if you're shooting video, it's declicked. You're not going to see the jitteriness of that of the aperture switch, and you're also not going to hear it. So very nice. I like that. So there we go. Let me go ahead and pop this back. Let me see. I think you might need to move this all the way back over to. Let's see. I think it might have to go back over to the automatic mode there, to where it says A, so it's an auto. So yeah. Now on here we have the zoom ring right here in the very front, so it's a little bit different position than you would normally have it. And then in the middle, we're gonna have our focus ring right there. So yeah, very nice. All right, let's set that right there for the moment. I'm gonna put this back in here. I don't generally use these cases. I usually just keep everything in my camera bag where I have plenty of padding and it's easy to access the lenses. So yeah, all right, we'll set that over there and set this right. Actually, we could set this, just set that right there. And now we have our 10-18 f2.8, and I'm super excited about this one. This is a lens I am considering buying for myself, and so I'm hoping that it works as well as I think, and I enjoy it. Now, I do have a 10-18 f4 lens from from Sony, but it is an older lens, and it's an f4, and it's not very sharp. This lens, from what I've seen, is much sharper. It's a faster lens. The one downside is it doesn't have optical image stabilization built into it, whereas the Sony lens does. So, all right, let's go ahead and get this out of the box. First things first, we are going to get a lens hood. So this is very nice. I didn't get a lens hood with the 70-200. I'd actually already checked the box previously, and it didn't come with the lens hood. I think whoever had the loan before me may have forgot to put it back in there. So anyways, Sigma folks, if you're watching, just know I didn't get the lens hood. I'm gonna have to reach out and let you know so you don't think I didn't send it back. So, all right, let's go ahead and get the lens out of here. And whoo, look at that. I think the rest of it is just, yeah, the rest of it's just documentation in here. So not much, but look how tiny that is. That is a tiny lens. It's so doggone petite. It's cute. Look at that. That is just amazing. So on the lens here, again, at the very end, we're going to have our zoom rocker or zoom barrel there, so that we can rotate in and out. There you go. And then we have our focusing dial right there as well. And then the lens cap's a little bit different here. So normally you would put the lens cap on and rotate it. This one here, you're going to line up the hash marks, and then you're going to push in, and that's going to lock it into place there. Now to take it off, you're just going to rotate it just a little bit, and then it pops right off. But you're going to go ahead and line those hash marks up, and then push in, and it locks into place there. So, and it's going to have a 67 millimeter filter ring in the front there, so that you can get that. And this lens is going to have a 77 millimeter, so that you can use whatever filters you want on there. So there we go. We have a 10 to 18 and a 70 to 200. This is incredible. I actually have an 18 to 50, so now I'm going to be able to have a 10 to 18, a 18 to 50. The only thing that's missing from this is if somehow Sigma was to give us like a maybe like a 50 to 150 f2.8. That would be pretty incredible. So I'm not sure if I would want that versus the 70 to 200. I'm not sure. But this is pretty dope. But I'll tell you what I would like if they did give us like because this is actually a full frame lens, whereas this is an APS-C lens. You can see APS-C lenses are much smaller. But if they were able to give us, say, a 50 to 150 f2.8 constant that's an APS-C lens and make it nice and small, oh yeah, that would be a winner. I would buy that. I would pay my own money for that one. That would be pretty nice. So, all right. We need a place to go shoot some photos, so let's head out into the world and see what we can do with these. All right, you guys, well, I decided to test out this lens by taking a little trip, so I'm on the plane. So I figure I'm going to vlog my way to my destination, and then I'll show some photos along the way, and yeah, hopefully it'll be a good time and you guys get to come along for the ride. So let's get to flying. All right, everyone. Well, I'm not quite to my destination yet, but I am still on my way. I had a layover here at the Denver airport, so I decided to come check out the American Express Centurion Lounge and grab a bite to eat and something to drink. And yeah, so far it's all going okay. My flight was pretty uneventful. It was like I don't know, it was like a big baby flight or something. There were a ton of little kids, and the people next to me switched seats and ended up with a little baby next to me that was climbing all over the place. It was kind of crazy, but anyhow, it went all right. This lens is fantastic, especially in really tight quarters like an airplane, because it's so wide that you can basically shoot and just get everything. It's really pretty incredible so far. All right, well, the lounge is done. I've had something to eat and drink, and now I'm heading over to my gate. All right, well, we made it on the plane. We're here. We have one last stop, our final destination. You might have got a little glimpse of it on the board, and it's going to be a ton of fun and see what we can get into. So let's just hurry up and get there because I'm kind of tired of traveling already. All right, everyone. Well, I made it here. I am in San Diego, California. That's right. I am in San Diego, San Diego, California, and we are going to go shoot some stuff. It's going to be a good time. So let's go test these lenses. So once I arrived at the airport, my brother came and picked me up, and that's when I realized right away this lens is fantastic indoors. So if you're shooting in a car, it's really wonderful because even at the widest angle, you get minimal distortion, which means you're going to have nice straight lines, and it's great so that you can get an entire scene. Now, even if you're shooting relatively up close, you can still get some nice background blur with that f2.8 aperture. Now, we headed over to the San Diego Fair, and again, this wide angle is wonderful because it allows you to capture entire scenes. And if you're shooting something that you want to capture, like an entire car or something like that, you can do so. And again, even at the widest focal length, you're going to have minimal distortion. Now, indoors as well, because of this f2.8 aperture, it's just going to work wonderfully. You're going to be able to shoot and not have really grainy photos or noisy photos. You're going to be able to shoot indoors and still have your images look nice and clean. Now, moving back outside, one thing I noticed is that the lens is really nice and contrasty. So you're going to get really nice vibrant colors and punchiness. It's just going to be a fantastic lens if you're shooting on bright days with lots of blue skies. It's going to look absolutely wonderful. So after the fair, my brother took me over to Pacific Beach because I wanted to try out the 70-200 2.8 and shoot some surfers while I was there. So we went over there, and I have to say this lens performed like a dream. It is super sharp, it is super fast, and the tracking is absolutely amazing. I have a Sony 100-400, and that lens is great, and I can tell you this lens focuses just as fast and it tracks just as well. It is absolutely amazing. The one downside is to using a third-party lens like this Sigma lens with a Sony camera is you can't shoot faster than 15 frames a second. However, if you have a camera like an A6700, which I was shooting with, you only get 11 frames a second anyways, so you don't really have to worry about running into that limit. But if you plan on getting this and plan on shooting with a camera that can shoot faster burst rates, that's going to be a limitation. Now, walking along the boardwalk, I wanted to see how this lens performed if I just pointed it out, held it handheld to see how stable it was going to be with the image stabilization, and I can tell you that it locked onto subjects really quickly. The image stabilization performed really, really well. When I have the lens that has image stabilization built into it and the camera, I was able to handhold shots. I was able to handhold shots all the way out of 200 millimeters, and it looked really, really good. So I don't think you're going to run into any problems with this. I think you will be just as happy with this lens as you would be with a Sigma lens, except you're going to pay a whole lot less, so you might actually be happier. Now, I have to say, I've really enjoyed using both of these lenses. Now, the one thing that I would say that was sort of a knock on the 10 to 18 is that there's no image stabilization built into the lens. You're solely dependent on the image stabilization in the body. And unfortunately, if you're trying to do, say, a walk and talk with this lens, it's not the best lens for that, because Sony's image stabilization when moving just isn't that great. And so if you have a lens that doesn't have image stabilization in it, you're going to get a lot of camera shake, a lot of jitters. It's just not going to look all that fantastic. So I might consider getting something that has some image stabilization in it, or maybe use a gimbal. Since I don't really like gimbals, I think you might want to look for something that has image stabilization built in if you're trying to do walk and talks. But if you plan on standing still and shooting, the image stabilization in the camera is more than enough. All right, everyone, well, there you go. That's it. Those are the two Sigma lenses that I was trying out, the 10 to 18 f2.8, that's an APS-C lens, and the Sigma 70-200 f2.8, which is a sports lens, and I have to say both of them are fantastic. Now, if you're looking for a sports lens and you don't have a camera that shoots past 15 frames a second, I would say grab the Sigma lens over anything else. I think it's the best deal out there as far as performance and price. Now, if you are shooting with something like a Sony A1 or A9 or something that can shoot really fast frame rates, then you might want to go with the Sony lens. But other than that, I've been shooting with this with a A6700 and a Sony A7CR. Neither of these can go past 15 frames a second, so it is a perfect lens for me with those two cameras. So there you go. And the 10A18, it's just a lot of fun. It really is. It is just a flat out lot of fun to shoot with. So, all right, I'm going to leave links to them both down below in the video description so that you can check them out. I'm also going to leave links to my Amazon page and my social media contacts so you can reach me elsewhere. And I hope you enjoyed seeing this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up and please subscribe to this channel and follow me on Instagram. And I am Larry with Today I Feel Like. Thanks for coming back to see me. Come back and see me soon. And until next time, love, peace, and hair grease. Peace.